emotion. Call it a mom's adoration. Foundation, a special bond of creation. Ha! For all the single moms out there going through frustration, Clean Bandit, China Ball, and Marie thing make them in.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good morning. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dewi Arisha, but you can call me Caca. I am from English Language Education Department at South Islamic University of Sunan Surabaya. Today, we are going to discuss about style and appropriacy of communicative coursebook. Before we are going to discuss about style and appropriacy based on the coursebook, I will give you some information about style and appropriacy in general. Okay. In general, styles are defined by such features as their subject matter, purpose, and medium of communication. While appropriacy refers to whether a word is suitable for the context is being used in. It is an important aspect of language, but an extremely complex one, as decision about how to say things depend on understanding exactly what is right for the context, culture, or situation. Style and appropriacy is a significant aspect to be included in a coursebook, which is claimed to be communicative. They relate to the sensitivity of the material in perceiving the social situation in which language is being used, select and use the style formal, non-formal, neutral, or etc. Appropriate to each particular situation too. This explanation discussed about coursebook that teach speaking interaction, communication, for example, dialogue.
The second slide, the variation of conversation should be an awareness and sensitivity to distinguish style of speech, whether informal, neutral, and also formal. Informal would only be used on specific occasions by certain people who closest with the speaker, like "What's up?" And then neutral can be used in most social contexts with most people, like "Nice to meet you." And then the last one is formal, would only be used on formal occasions with specific people, like "How do you do?" and so on. So awareness and sensitivity are involved to the situation in different level of formality. The next is, in the communicative coursebook, it's important to consider the concept of communicative competence. The first one is perceive the social situations, for example, family, business, and so on. And then select and use the style, for example, informal, neutral, and also formal. Means that the course book that consists of communicative activity should consider the appropriate style and situation during the conversation. Next one is slide 3. It's about coursebook. Coursebook has great contribution, right, in terms of speaking. It's because coursebook presenting example of different style in English in their appropriate context. Is it a conversation focused on business or family? And something like that. And the second one is providing the main characteristics a formal and informal English. For example, a request conversation usually add blah blah blah, please, like that, and the end of the sentence, and also give the modal would, could in the beginning of the sentence. This is one example of formal characteristics in English. Next, in the course book also contains about the important things that need in the speech situation. The first one is physical context setting. For example, the speaker or the hearer making the request and respond. And the second one is social roles of the participants. For instance, is the speaker or the hearer old or young people? And the last one is goals of the participants or purpose. As the name, it is the aim of the speaker did the conversation, did or do conversation. For example, the speaker would like to invite someone or invite the hearer to the party or do cooperation for business.
Some of the course books that teach about speaking interaction, especially about request, was often found the sentence of the conversation isolate exponent in a particular function without provide context and explanation more about the reason why this one is polite than other. So, as a writer of the course book should reflect on the politeness skill before giving the example sentence about request. The procedure to reveal politeness skill. For point A, the example need to be integrated into realistic piece of discourse, such as dialogue, and this will provide context in terms of social roles, goals, or etc., and can demonstrate the dialogue in group or in framework. For point B, students need to understand why some utterance are politer or formal than others. This is useful to help the students to formulate requests appropriately. Remember, the way to refuse the speaker request, the hearer should show the unable rather than unwillingness. And another example to refuse the request is simple informal refuse, which has simple response. This is suitable if the participants in the interaction are already well acquainted. Or choose another optional to refuse the request is provide the easier request for hearer. Here, the speakers make easier the hearer to refuse politely. This can make students easier to transferable by their own language. In the next session, I will give the example. In this session, I will give you example of refuse the request. Okay, the several example of refuse the request. For the first example, reveal the unable answer to the hearer. Person A, would you be able to give a lift to the party tonight? Person B, I'm awfully sorry, but I can't because I have already got a car full. And for the second example, show the informal answer. Person A, to give me a lift to the party tonight? Person B, sorry, not tonight. The first example shows the formal language style, and the second example shows the informal language style. Do you find the differences? The differences is the tenses used. For formal language style, usually the people use past tense or verb to. But for informal language style, usually people use verb 1.
Okay, the last slide is about the various checklists for style and appropriacy. This is how the writer consider what should consist in coursebook, which teach about communicating. Okay, the first one is the material for sensitizing learners to different level of formality? Yes. In the coursebook should contain of several characteristics of level of formality. This is in order to make the students are able to distinguish between informal, natural, and also formal. And the second one is, if so, are the examples presented sufficiently contextualized? Absolutely. The material should provide and show the context, for example, conversation about request, and so on. This is in order to make easier the students to answer or respond based on the context. The third one is the level of formality related to the setting, social roles of participants, and their communicative goals? Yes, these are important aspects in speech situations. As the previous explanation, that the example of settings such as family, about business, and so on. And then about the second one is for the social roles of the participants are like hearer or speaker, whether old or young people. And the last one is about goals of the participant to or did the conversation. Is the speaker want to hearers respond simple or politely? Next is practice given in using different levels of formality in different situations. Yes, this practice in this kind of course book is really useful for the students to practice how to communicate in different level of speech and different situations. Okay, then our learners led towards an understanding of why some forms in English are more formal than others. In the communicative course book are different forms of language. Yep. For example, formal, natural, and non-formal or informal. Here the course book should understand why forms are different, in what situation that can be used, and for who the form of these languages are used. And the last one is, are any other aspect of style other than formality, informality included? Okay, for example, register language used within a particular activity or occupation. Means that in the communicative course book should consider the occupation of the participants, include speaker and also the hearer. So for example, the lecturer and the students. As the students would not speak to the lecturer same way, they would talk to her or his classmates. It's so different, right?
In this session, I will give you summary on conclusion about style and appropriacy. Okay, based on our group explanation about style and appropriacy of communicative course book, we can conclude it. For the first point, style and appropriacy are important things in the course book which claim to be communicative. Other point is the variation of conversation should be an awareness and sensitivity to distinguish style of speech, such as formal, informal, or neutral. Other important point is the concept of communicative competence included the ability to perceive the social and select and use the style appropriate to each particular situation. Because matching style to situation is important things to do, either when asking or responding. I will give you some example. When we are or other person or someone using informal style in a formal business meeting, or when we are or other person using formal language style in family situation, can send the wrong message, misunderstanding, and cause discomfort situation. Okay, to sum up, in the course book content of speakers and hearer who use informal, formal, and neutral should find the question and answer are able to express appropriately situation. Okay, that's all our explanation about style and appropriacy of communicative course book. Hopefully you can get all information, and thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Call it love and devotion. Call it a mom's adoration. Foundation, a special